Right, we'll begin in a few minutes. Let everyone join in. Right, let's begin. The one challenge. India has been trying to become less dependent on the three and lower its oil import costs by trading more with two in recent years. Trade between the two countries is supposed to reach $100 billion by 2030. However, after the war, the relationship changed, with India buying a lot more oil from two. Two is benefiting from India's trade imbalance because it saves money by buying cheaper oil from two but not exporting enough to balance the trade, which is currently at a deficit of 57 billion out of 66 billion in FY24. Due to India's huge trade gap with two oil exporters want to be paid in one instead of three or four. With more equal trade between one and two, where the one is widely used, this change has happened. One has become more common in the two market, which makes it harder for four. Right? Actually, I'll give you 30 seconds to quickly look at all the numbers because I won't be reminding you of them. So I suggest you pay attention here. In fact, yes. Right. I think that's enough time. Let's move to the questions for today. First question coming up. What currency is one? Chinese yuan or renminbi. That's the currency that is challenging us. Good on whoever was clear enough to notice what the intention of the paragraph was. What country is two? Russia. This one much easier. But I can understand why a lot of you went for US dollar as it is considered the traditionally dominant currency. But the subject matter for today's paragraph made the answers slightly different. What currency is three? The answer to this one is definitely US dollar because US dollar is dominant currency, but the challenge we are facing currently is from the rising currency, which is yuan or renminbi as it's formally called. What currency is four? This should be easy. Indian national rupee elimination help you here. Initially, much of the oil trade was happening in rupee only, which was of great help. But now, much of it has moved to or is moving to yuan, the trade between India and Russia, which is not the best situation for us. Overcoming the trade deficit and promoting economic unity is something that India and too are working on in many areas. Continuing from my previous point, since of course with China we're quite rivalrous, uh, though it should be A and B. I don't know why that's not correct. While I fix that, right, as I was saying, uh, we do have strong trade relations with China, even though we have a rivalry similar between US and China, in fact. Even though tensions have ramped up, especially in the Trump presidency and even continuing in the Biden presidency, there is still a great deal of trade because the largest two economies, and similarly for India, the largest two trade partners are USA and China. Currently, it's China which is the largest, but the difference isn't very big, so it might change. But for current year, you should remember it as China only. Coming to this one, the possible trade deal is with the Eurasian Economic Union, which is Russia and some of its allies, not the European Economic Union. So that's why the answer is both A and B, and not all. Let's have a look at the leaderboard before we move to the one-liners. Great lead by Krishna. Let's see if we can keep up. Blank will hold the second Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Civil Aviation from September 11th to 12th. India, of course, good guess here. I figure most of you wouldn't actually know the answer, but India is always a good guess. It is risky though, of course, in actual CLAT, so you have to be very careful with that, but it remains a good guess. Blank is described as a set of shared digital systems that can deliver and provide equitable access to public and or private services at societal scale. Answer is digital public infrastructure. Of course, continuing from my previous point, it is not 100% reliable. You have to look at the question, especially because this is a definition we're asking for. So you can't go with digital India because that is a policy. If you didn't know the answer, second and third were decent guesses, but first one is, of course, the most sensible option, and it is the correct option as well. And that's why I see most of you went for there. The main opposition party submitted a blank notice against the Prime Minister for making derogatory remarks against the former VP. Breach of privilege is the answer. Motion of no confidence would be a much bigger news, so you would have definitely heard of it if that happened. The answer is breach of privilege. It usually wouldn't happen on such a small issue either, uh, especially when the ruling government has a clear majority. It's not a minority government, and so soon after general elections, it wouldn't happen. Recently, the declaration of 25th June as blank serves as a poignant reminder of the period when the Constitution of India was undermined. Right, as I was saying, previously the opposition recently has used motion of no confidence to launch debates on topics and big failings of the government, according to them. You can look it up to read more, but it probably won't be relevant for this year. Answer is Samvidhan Hatya Divas, very recent news, so that's uh, good work for getting it. To be expected. Would have been surprised if anyone went for a different option. It was this was supposed to be a different question. It didn't update. I think uh, that is odd. Give me a minute. The heading hasn't changed from some for some reason, uh, but the options are there. Question is the recent judgment on disabilities. We had a paragraph on that only yesterday. I asked you to look it up. Let's see who all of you did. The answer is Nipul Malhotra versus Sony Pictures Films India Private Limited. The judgment was related to a film only, Aankh Micholi. It laid down guidelines on what is appropriate and inappropriate as far as disabilities, portrayal of disabilities in media is concerned. So yeah, apologies for the oversight with the question. I think some technical issue happened there. It didn't update properly, but as I probably explained it, so shouldn't matter that much. A great work, Krishna, Akhil Shweta, and everyone who participated. Right, that brings us to the end. Thank you.